We have a new governor and new elected leaders in Congress and on the state level. You may be wondering what died and what was in play during the lame duck session, and what do all the changes in Lansing mean to you? That's exactly what we'll be talking about today. Former State Representative Robert Kowsowski will be here to tell us what was happening in the Capitol and what he managed to do for Westland. Jordyn Sellek from the Conference of Western Wayne will let us know how some of the changes will affect our region. And Dan Gilmartin from the Michigan Municipal League will break down some of the legislative changes and what they mean to cities like Westland. Once again, we're looking at state and regional happenings from a local perspective here on In the W. He served 3 terms representing Michigan's 16th House District, which comprises a portion of the city of Westland and the entire city of Wayne. He earned a reputation as being able to work across the aisle and form strong partnerships with members on both sides. This enabled him to bring hundreds of thousands of dollars back to our district, have several bills signed into law, and was named the Legislator of the Year by the Michigan Municipal League and Attorneys for Animals. Joining us now is Bob Kowsowski.
How you doing, Mayor?
Bob, welcome back to In the W.
It's always great to be here.
Well, Bob, you're coming off of 6 years in Lansing and probably one of the craziest lame ducks that we've ever seen. So,
right.
You know, now that you've had a chance to catch your breath and stuff, looking back, you know, what was your perspective of, you know, coming off the 6 years, but also this crazy lame duck?
Well, you know, I started off with the 6 years. I had the greatest time. I just want to thank all the residents of Westland and Wayne. It was an honor to serve them. You know, it was, the first day I went to Lansing and I looked across the aisle, I decided that there was not a force field there was not some wall there, and I decided to get on the other side and really try and help Wayne and Westland, and that's kind of what I thought I did. Now, you're talking about the last lame duck. Wow. I mean, there was 300 some bills that ran through those few weeks. Most of them were good. There were some bad ones. But, you know, that's one of the problems with lame duck, I think, is when people are out of office, they have no one to answer to anymore, and they can do whatever they want. Now, do I think a lot of things happened bad? I don't think anything happened really bad, but there were things that were talked about that would have been devastating to our cities, which I was totally against.
Well, Bob, let's give our viewers a little behind the scenes. Like they hear lame duck, and you know, and they have a pretty good idea what it means. But
Sure.
But what's it like to be a legislator in the middle of lame duck? I know there was one night that you guys were there quite late. So what's it like for you as an individual being there
Sure.
during the session?
So, you know, you talked about the late night. We started at 10 a.m. and we didn't leave until 8:30 the next day. We never left there. We were, you know, had lunch and everything sitting in there, which is good because it was our last session day. But, you know, lame duck is one of those things that when you're a legislator, you have pet projects, just like I did. I want to do a lot of things for cities, recreation, since that was my background. So that's the time when I was term limited that I was really going to pursue some of the bills that I really wanted. Now, mine were all good. You know, they weren't devastating in any way, but that's, you know, like I said earlier, Mayor, I would have no one to answer to because I'm not in office anymore. But I always will answer the residents of Westland and Wayne. They've treated me so great.
Well, so as part of this lame duck, you were able to, and remember that Bob was part of the minority there, and he was term limited out. But with that said, you were still able to work with the legislature to bring back $150,000 through a Michigan enhancement grant, which will be used to continue to modernize the park amenities at Stottlemyre Park.
Right.
So how does a guy do that? You know, you're term limited out, you're in the minority, but you're still able to get things done. You worked with Appropriations Chair, she's a Republican from
Yes.
Livonia. How do you do that?
So Laura Cox and I gained a great friendship, and that's what I said earlier in the show. Is just I just jumped over that wall. I was not letting any partisan issues get in my way. It's one of those things, Mayor, that, you know, I almost brought back $1 million my 6 years.
$950,000, and that's something you should be very proud of.
I'm very proud of it, Mayor. You know what? I told, in my going away speech, I told Laura Cox that my kids love her because she helped me so much to get money for our kids. You know, Mary, you're going to take some credit of this too, because I didn't know what to go out and get. You and I talked a lot, and we talked about some of the things that needed to be upgraded, and I really appreciate you the whole time during my 6 years. You've always been great with me, so thank you.
Well, you know, this wasn't really the premise of our conversation, but the one thing is, Bob, you were a Parks and Rec director. When you were a Parks and Rec director, you had big plans. You laid out plans for improving Voss Park. You laid out plans for Rotary Park. At the time, we just didn't have the money. You laid out plans when we were fixing Central City Park, but you knew we didn't have the money. You went to Lansing, you found a way to bring money back. A lot of the stuff that we did were things that you were talking about back when you were Parks and Rec director.
We were both talking about those.
So
you know, it's
hats
one of the
off
other
to you.
things. I never had to give a vote that I didn't want to. I never jeopardized my morals or my beliefs or what my people wanted me to do. I never sold anybody out, which I'm very proud of. I probably could have did more things if I would have, but I'm pretty true to my residents, and like I said, I'm just glad I was able to represent them.
Well, I appreciate that. So, over 300 bills flying around in lame duck.
Right.
You know, a lot of things passed. They ended on the governor's desk, and he signed some into play, some he didn't. Were there anything that you thought that you were surprised it passed, or maybe things that you're surprised didn't pass in lame duck?
Well, so I'm going to go into gambling, because I'm one of those guys that if you're allowed to play lottery, bingos, and all that, I think you know, Vegas should not have a stranglehold on sports betting, which that was my bill that never received the light of day on the House floor. It passed or got through committee. But there's other gaming bills like online gaming that didn't go through, which is really ironic. When the lottery, you can go online and gamble. So I just thought, you know, that's one of the bills I thought would really go. It needed 2/3 of the House and Senate to pass, and it got that. So I was thinking the governor would sign it. I'm not really sure why the governor didn't sign it. I mean, he was the governor, so it's up to him. But I just think it's the power of the people. If they want to gamble online, they should be able to do that. And so that's one of them. There were a couple other things that the governor didn't sign, so it worked out really good, like the stringent laws on, you know, where a state didn't have to follow federal, they can go lower and stuff like that, or couldn't make it higher standards for environmental stuff. And those are issues that he didn't sign, so we don't have to worry about those right now.
All right, Bob. So, well, now we can ask you to be a pundit. So
Okay.
now you can let us know how you really feel. So,
Sure.
obviously, there's a new governor coming in office. There's a new attorney general, new secretary of state.
Right.
So there's basically going to be a new the executive side of government. Lots of new legislators going to Lansing. So, you know, what do you think the new governor, her focus should be coming into this 2019?
Well, I think that's the easy
legislature?
one, Mayor. I mean, she ran on the roads, and obviously the roads aren't just about the way they look, it's about safety now. I mean, I went through 4 or 5 tires driving to Lansing all the time, and rims. I think if she can come up with a plan to do that, I think she'll be very successful. I think she's going to have a hard time with that. The majority in the Senate and the House, when you have Speaker Chatfield and Leader Shirkey, I don't think they're going to go along with a lot of that. But I think she is on the right path to having some great things done. I think she's going to go slow, which is good, except on roads. I think roads, she's really going to go out of the gate hitting it hard, and I hope she does.
All right. So she's going to come into a Republican-led House and Senate.
Right.
The new leadership you talked about, there's no doubt about it, they're very conservative.
Definitely.
You think with that said that she's going to be able to, she talked about fixing the roads. She's got a lot of other good ideas. You think she'll have success?
Yes, I do. I think everybody wants the roads fixed. I think, you know, as an elected official, you knock a lot of doors. And the thing that you always hear is fix my roads and insurance. Those are the two. You know, that's the other good thing is I just read yesterday that they set up a new committee just on reforming auto insurance. So that means they mean business, and hopefully we can get something done.
All right. Recreational marijuana, it's become legal. The law is still not really clear on what that means. Do you wish the legislature had taken the issue on as opposed to putting it on the ballot for Michiganders to vote on?
So I've been on a lot of radio shows about this issue, and I thought it was best that it goes to the people. I think anything like that, any ballot proposal, should go to the people. 110 people shouldn't be voting on something for 9 million when it becomes something like that. So I was glad it went there. I just think it needs a lot of work. I mean, even from transporting marijuana and the money. There's so many issues out there, and we'll figure it out.
Okay. So Bob, your couple of real quick questions before we
Sure.
move on. What was your biggest accomplishment in Lansing? Is there anything that you wish you could have done that you weren't able to do because of term limits?
So out of the 17 bills that I had passed on a law, which led all Democrats by far, I think the domestic violence bill package that I led, I think that was number one, just to help people in domestic violence situations. I helped a lot of veterans in a lot of my bills to give them accreditation for college and stuff. I had so many bills, but honestly the biggest accomplishment is I can drive around Westland right now and see the 7 or 8 parks that I was able to help out and see those kids having a good time, and that makes me feel good.
All right. Anything you wish you could have done but term limits got in the way?
Yeah, I mean the sports gambling one was one of them. I actually wanted to, I talked about running for leader 2 times and I didn't do it because my friend was running this time. I kind of wish I would have taken that plunge because I think I would have did some different things. I think we would have got some more negotiating stuff done. But other than that, no, I had a stellar career. I mean, I wouldn't trade it. I had the greatest job in the city of Westland working for you and other mayors, and then I capped it off being a state rep.
All right. So what's on the horizon for Bob Kowsowski?
Good question. We have our irons in the fire. I'm so much into policy. I was the ranking Dem on school appropriations, so I'm trying to stick in something with school appropriations, and I just think our kids deserve it. We have studies out there that say we're underestimated on what we should be giving our kids, and that's something I would just love to stay on that policy maybe in Lansing and really work for our kids.
All right, Bob. Well, based on your track record and your passion and your hard work, whatever you decide to do next, you're going to do a great job.
I hope so. Thanks for all your help too,
Well,
Mayor.
thanks for your time in Lansing.
Sure.
Thanks for all you've done for our community, and thanks for being with us here today on In the
got
W,
it.
all right?
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to sit down with Jordyn Sellek, the CEO from the Conference of Western Wayne. We'll be right back.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash? 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
She's been the Conference of Western Wayne's Executive Director and 911 Coordinator since October 2015. The CWW works hand in hand with the chief elected officials from Western Wayne County's 18 communities, which represent over 700,000 residents and businesses. Prior to joining the CWW, she worked for a decade in local, county, and state government, including the Michigan House of Representatives, the Michigan Senate, and the Wayne County Commission. Joining me now on In the W is Jordyn Sellek. Jordyn, welcome back to In the W.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, you had a long, distinguished career working in the House, the Senate. Earlier in the show, we had former State Representative Bob Kowsowski in the House, and I know you've worked with him over the years. So
Yes.
We're coming off a crazy lame duck, and I know the Conference of Western Wayne, you guys do a great job of keeping us here in Western Wayne County kind of in the know on what's happening legislatively. So have you ever seen a crazy lame duck like this past one?
There's been some good ones historically, but this one was especially crazy. I believe that the final number of bills was close to 600 that they sent to the governor to sign at the end, and that's about as much as they sent in a full year between 17 and 18. So they were up there working long nights and sending bills to the governor.
So hopefully they put some extra money in the budget for extra pins for the governor. That's a lot of bills to sign.
Yes.
So, Jordyn, was there any bills that were in the lame duck that were of particular interest to the Conference of Western Wayne, maybe bills that passed or maybe those that didn't pass?
Yeah, we had a couple that ended up dying in lame duck that we were happy that did die. One we referred to as the tree ordinance package. And what that would have done is taken away local government's ability to do any tree regulation or vegetation regulation or ordinances for your local communities. Another one was, it was a short-term rental bill where local communities no longer would have been able to regulate short-term rentals within their community. So we were pretty happy that both of those died. Local governments overall came out pretty unscathed through lame duck, and a lot of that is to credit to organizations like Michigan Municipal League, Michigan Townships Association. We work hand in hand with them in Lansing. We all kind of come together with a joint effort to make sure that we do what we can to protect our local governments.
So we kind of got a behind the scenes look at lame duck with Bob Kowsowski. Kind of let us know as a legislator what it was like. So for the CWW, and I know that you have a small staff, but you guys work really hard. What's lame duck like for you? Because some of those bills, like the tree bill you mentioned, that was very, it was very important to several of the CWW communities. So what is lame duck like for you and your staff?
We have a staff of 3, and me and my assistant director, we travel back and forth from Lansing to work with our legislators and other lobbyists that are up there. So it's a lot of time spent in Lansing, it's a lot of time spent on the phone and working on email to get everyone on the same page. And what we do with our board is make sure that we are keeping all of our mayors and supervisors informed of literally everything that's going on, because it can change from minute to minute. So with the tree ordinance package, we were sending out emails to all of you guys to make sure everyone knew what was happening, so you were able to contact your individual representatives and senators and let them know where you stood on the bills that we were concerned about.
Well, I think it worked, and that's real-time stuff. You guys, a lot of times when you were texting us or emailing us, you know, there were times when we'd reach right out to our representative, and you know, they were on the floor, so it was real time. We were able to reach out to them and get the word out. So I think it was pretty effective.
I do too.
So let's talk about the new legislature moving in. So we're part in Wayne County here. We're in an odd situation, having one legislator in the majority. I'm sorry, without having a legislator in the majority in either the House or the Senate. So how does that make things a little bit more difficult for us moving forward?
Well, it's a situation we have not found ourselves in as far back as I can recall. It makes it difficult because even though everyone talks about compromising and working bipartisanly, not having anyone in the majority to advocate for really any part of Wayne County, not even just Western Wayne, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be an uphill climb, because we're the largest state or the largest county in the state, and for everyone else outside of Wayne County, they're concerned about their own local governments and their own counties. They're not just saying, "Oh, we got to help out Wayne County," even though that they don't have anyone in the majority. So we're going to have to do a lot of education. We're really going to have to rely on our reps and senators to work across the aisle and help advocate for us in order to just keep our local government safe during the next couple of years, and make sure that we keep local control here and they don't take away too much from us.
All right. New governor coming in, you know, new Attorney General coming in, new Secretary of State. So there's going to be a lot of new leadership in Lansing and a lot of new legislators coming in. Do you have a relationship with the incoming governor of the Conference of Western Wayne? What do you think your relationship with the new governor is going to be?
Well, the great part about the Conference of Western Wayne is that we are completely bipartisan, and everything that we do, we try to do unanimously. So I know that a lot of our mayors and supervisors have a good relationship with the governor as well as other members of the legislature in Lansing. You know, we're just going to work hard to compromise and get everyone to really get things done, things that are important to all of our communities, like roads, for instance. And we know that the governor really wants to focus on that. And we will do our best to just convey everything that's important to us and work with her the best that we can, because we know that she is the state of Michigan at the top priority for herself.
Okay. Are there any issues you're hoping that the governor takes up this year, or the legislature?
Roads would definitely be the primary. To really see a comprehensive package, and one that includes oversight if there's any fee increases or tax increases, that would really be a priority for the conference.
You would like to think that that would be something bipartisan too, because every state representative or state senator lives in a city that probably has infrastructure needs. So it should be something that you would think that they could work together, bipartisan, to come up with a fix for the roads.
Yes.
Continue to find funding for the roads.
Absolutely. It is something that we all need, and everyone is on the same page that they want it done one way or another.
All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about a program that you're working on at the Conference of Western Wayne. It's the next generation of text to 911. It's a program you launched in 2016. Can you tell us about the program?
Sure. The first part of the program was in the spring of 2016, where we implemented text to 911. So if you're unable to make a voice call, you can text 911 just like you would a normal text message, without attaching any pictures or attachments or any other recipients. You put that in, text 911, be able to say where you are and what your emergency is. But really, it is call if you can, text if you can't. The second part of this that we're working on right now, is Next Generation 911, which we're overhauling our infrastructure for 911, moving away from the landlines and moving toward an infrastructure that can support wireless technology and all the changes that we're having with phones and any device that can contact 911.
All right. Well, we appreciate here in the city of Westland the work that you do at the Conference of Western Wayne on 911, and so we wish you the best of luck on that.
Thank you.
All right. So at your last meeting, you swore in your new executive board. You have new leadership at the Conference of Western Wayne, and Supervisor Bob Nix from Northville Township will be the chairperson.
Yes.
Who are some of the other leaders that will be coming on board this year?
The vice chairperson is Mayor Corinne Connolly from the city of Belleville. Our secretary is Supervisor Pat Williams from Canton Township. Our new member is Mayor Byron Nolan from the city of Inkster, and then Mayor Leroy Burcroft from the city of Romulus is our chair emeritus.
All right. Well, it's a very diverse yet talented group of individuals. So have they set any goals yet for 2019?
Not quite yet. I mean, the main goal for CWW this year will definitely be working cohesively, just to make sure that we're getting all of our priorities conveyed to Lansing and federally if we need to, as well as to Wayne County, and that we're all on board and working as a region together.
All right. Well, that's going to be a full-time job.
Yes.
So anything else from the Conference of Western Wayne before we wrap up today?
I just want to say thank you to Representative Kowsowski for what he did in his tenure in the state, or in the House of Representatives, and at the end it was really nice to see that this was showing the work bipartisanship, that he was able to bring back some money to the city of Westland. I know that he helped you guys out with, is it Saddlemeyer Park, sorry, and brought you back about $150,000 for that. That was nice.
He did do a great job. He actually, in his 6 years, he was able to bring back $950,000 for park improvements.
Yeah,
so
that's fantastic.
Appreciate that.
That is a great example of working across the aisle, and it was wonderful that he was able to do that for your city.
All right, well, keep up the great work at the Conference of Western Wayne. Our WLND viewing audience gets a chance on an annual basis to watch one of those meetings, because we host it here and we televise it, so they get to see not only you but your staff and all those elected officials from Western Wayne County working together.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
well, keep up the good work.
Thanks.
All right, so thank you, Jordyn, for joining us. We're going to take another short break, and when we return, Dan Gilmartin, the CEO from the Michigan Municipal League, is going to be here in the house to discuss specifics from, I'm so excited about this lame duck that it's over now. We can come back and talk about specifics of the recent lame duck session in Lansing. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice, she's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
He is the CEO and Executive Director of the Michigan Municipal League. The MML works to educate local government officials and is the voice in Lansing for Michigan communities. Joining us now is Dan Gilmartin. Dan, welcome to In the W.
Great to be back, Mayor.
Well, Dan, hopefully you had a nice holiday, you had a chance to relax a little bit. We've been talking about the recent lame duck, about some of the changes in Lansing, and we had a chance to meet with our former state representative, Robert Kowsowski, and I know that you had a good working relationship with Bob, and we sat down with Jordyn Sellek, the CEO of the Conference of Western Wayne. So with that, Dan, you've been around for a while. What's your perspective on this recent lame duck?
It was crazy. It was unlike any other lame duck I've been a part of, but I think quite successful as far as local governments go. There were a lot of good things that happened. There were some bad things that didn't happen, and sometimes when you're advocating on any number of different issues, and there are more issues in play this last couple of months than I can ever remember in a legislative session. So it wasn't like we were watching one or two things, we were watching 15, 20, 25 things right up until right before Christmas when they adjourned. So overall though, I think pretty positive.
You think this is the new normal? Is this the way to govern now in the state of Michigan?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so. I think there's really two new normals that we're going to see in this state. Is number one, and we're 20 years into term limits now, and I think the proponents of term limits thought they were going to take the politics out of government. I think it's done just the opposite, because everybody is short, compressed time to get things done. Because folks are term limited out, they're looking to run for other offices, and what's happened, I think people didn't see happening when they originally thought about term limits. There's a lot more of that going on. There's a lot more horse trading happening. So we're going to see more of that as we go forward. I think the other thing we're going to see more of are ballot initiatives. It used to be almost impossible to gather 500,000 signatures and get enough people with like interests together to put something on a statewide ballot. But now with social media, more and more of that is happening. And I think we're going to continue to see that too. So I think those are real two changes I see now that weren't really in play 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Well, Dan, you're the Municipal League, you're the voice for communities in Lansing, and you have a very talented staff, and you're a hands-on guy, and we appreciate the work you do. Now, you mentioned that there were some things that passed in lame duck that you thought that were good for communities, and then you said there were some things that were bad that didn't pass. Can you expound on a couple of those? Yeah,
on the bad side, I mean, Jordyn mentioned it, there were a lot of shots at local control. And for the audience, they don't think about this stuff necessarily, but the concept of local control in Michigan is very dear to who we are, and it's been part of what we've done for 200 years. And that basically says we should make the most decisions we possibly can at the local level, whether it's at city council, whether it's a local planning commission. The folks in Westland should have a real say in what happens in this community, just the way they do in Grosse Pointe or Grand Rapids or Marquette or anywhere else. And what the legislature has done over the last couple of decades, more so and more so and more so, and this time really pushed up on that, was they want to take some of those decisions and make them at the state level. So whether we're talking about inspection programs of rental housing, tree trimming as Jordyn talked about it, any number of different programs that in and of themselves or by themselves don't really mean the world, but it's really that erosion of local control that we have seen. So there was a lot of, there were several bills that were going after that, which we were able to defeat, which is a real positive thing. That's because of our relationship with groups like the Conference of Western Wayne, Representative Kowsowski, who was on here, leaders like yourself who were involved in CWW on our board across the state. That's really important. On the positive side, we got some more money for roads. We got some more money for brownfield redevelopment, which is the redevelopment of old industrial sites, basically. It's money to clean up those sites and get them prepared for putting new businesses or apartments or houses or whatever you're going to do in a particular area. And there are a few more issues that I think were really positive for us. No home runs, but lots of singles, few walks, maybe a hit by a pitch or two, and we'll take them. We're on base. So I think overall a really good lame duck session in the end.
All right, well, very good. Appreciate the hard work that you and your staff put into keeping us all up to date on it.
Thanks.
So Dan, so there's a change in leadership. We're going to have a Democratic governor. That's a change from Governor Snyder being a Republican with a Republican-led Senate and House. So Governor Whitmer is going to come in being a Democrat with a Republican-led House and Senate. Do you have to do anything different? I know the MML is nonpartisan, but
Right.
Does your staff, do you have to take any different approaches because now there's a Democrat as a governor, or what is that like for you guys?
Yeah, I think, our state's always pretty much down the middle, 50-50 on politics. So you might have Republican governors and Democratic legislature, vice versa. Last few years it's been all Republican. Now we've gone back to mixed control with the Democratic governor. So I don't think the message changes too much because good governance and good public policy should be by itself good politics. I think, so the policy doesn't change, maybe the message moves around a little bit. I think there are some more things in play when you've got somebody either in the governor's office or real champions in the legislature that want to see some things happen. So I think, like, for example, Governor Snyder tried for 8 years to deal with the road issue and we weren't successful beyond some of the small appropriations that are certainly helpful. I know you're not going to turn down any state money here in Westland to fix potholes and things, but the needs have become so great, we've got to look at that at a much larger level. So when you have a governor who's run on that, very famously said about fixing the roads, and so certainly we think there's an opportunity there to jump in with her and see if we can to move something along. So there are minor changes like that where you can sort of strategically go in one direction or another, but good public policy should be a worthwhile for both Republicans and Democrats to look at.
All right. Well, the governor, she comes from the legislature, so she's obviously very aware of the work that that the league does, and you probably have a relationship with her already. So, do you feel that past experience will be helpful? And is there any of her appointees that you feel like you'll have, an heir to the governor's office?
Yeah, I think there's. We were cautiously optimistic. You're always cautious going in, but. The governor was a real friend to communities when she was in the state legislature. I think she understands a lot of the issues that you're dealing with at the local level. Kind of a wide breadth of involvement that she has had. So again, the only thing she's been real out front on from a campaign perspective has been the roads. That's certainly something I think she's going to try to tackle right away. But beyond that, we know from history that we talked to her about economic development. At the league, we're always pushing the concepts of having great, vibrant places to live in. That's really the secret sauce in attracting businesses and creating jobs and those types of things. So she seems to get that. She's certainly been a proponent of that in previous years. So we feel really good about whether we're working with her through transportation or through economic development or whatever it might be. All that stuff kind of rolls into one, and we're talking about creating great communities at the league. So we're hopeful that we're going to have a really strong relationship with her as governor.
So Dan, the league is made up of members from all across the state and different branches of government. You've got cities, villages, townships, from 500,000 down to 5,000. So how do you advocate for everybody? You guys do a great job with it, but what's the secret to doing that?
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and I'll go back to kind of what I just said. Good public policy is good public policy. I think what happens is you see issues with respect to the size or the scope of issues. So it's a $50 million problem in a place like Detroit. It's a $2 million problem if we're talking about infrastructure something in Westland, and it's a $50,000 problem in the village of Eagle. So, but the concept of having safe streets or clean water or a vibrant economy or a really cool downtown or good public housing, whatever it is, that really is something that goes whether you're in a big city or a small town. And I think organizations like ours, where we can have a board of trustees comprised of yourself, who's on it right now, as well as folks from the UP and the city council president from Detroit's on there, and a council member from Ferndale is our chair, and you keep going through all that stuff. If we get all those people together and give everybody a voice, we come out with a better idea about Michigan. And I think it's a compliment to everybody who comes to our organization, is able to bring not just the experience here in Westland, but to look beyond that so that we can all move forward and try to create a better place. Because again, where you live matters. And every day it's about money and budgets and all those different things that we all deal with on a technical level. But the only reason we're doing this kind of stuff, the only reason you're doing that, because you're trying to make Westland better. And if we keep that in mind, we come out with a better product.
All right. Well, it's my honor to serve on the board of directors, and you've got a great board there that works together on
yes,
making a positive impact in their communities, and they share ideas, and they work together to promote not only their own communities but communities all across the state. So it's my pleasure to
fun
serve
to be a
on
part
that.
of. Glad to have you.
Any goals for 2019 for the
For
the
sure.
league?
I mean, the changing the municipal finance system is numero uno for us. Probably with the road, with improvements in the roads funding structure, and really transportation in general. Because as we know, people like to move around differently, whether that's mass transportation, whether that's cars, whatever it might be. But the financial system that people like yourself have to work under now in Michigan doesn't work. It was created in the 1930s to the 1950s. We're in a different world. Our communities look different. What citizens, what businesses want from government is different. And to have this sort of archaic old system that doesn't provide the types of resources you need to do the best work you can do is something we need to change. It's not more necessarily, it's different structures on some things. So we have a program called Save My City, which is Save MI City. You can check us out at savemycity.org and find out about what we're doing as an organization and what businesses and local leaders and people across the state are doing to get the attention of the legislature and of the public to make sure that we've got the right kind of a system here where we can create a Michigan that'll keep us happy now, keep our kids here when they grow up, and let us move into a new century doing really well.
All right. Well, that's a great initiative, and both myself and our council president, Jim Godbout, you probably, for those viewers that follow us on Twitter, you see us all the time kind of pushing out that Save My
Yes.
City message, and we're proud to do our little part to help get that message out.
Keep pushing.
All right.
Keep pushing.
So Dan, before we wrap up, is there any final words from the Michigan Municipal League?
No, I just think we're at a really interesting time, and I think, again, what makes a city great in 2019 and beyond is different than maybe 1970 or 1980, and it's folks like yourself and other leaders around the country, around the state, and around the country that are figuring that out and trying to create a new path forward. So it's an exciting time to be engaged in this stuff.
All right. Well, we know you're going to have your finger on the pulse as the governor and the new legislature starts to work together. So hopefully we can bring you back as they start to make some progress to talk about either the good or bad impact that is on local governments.
Always happy to be here, Mayor.
All right. Well, keep up the good work.
Thanks.
All right. So we want to thank Dan, and I also want to thank Jordyn Sellek and Bob Kowsowski for being our guests here today in the W. It's a new year. We have a new governor, lots of fresh faces up in Lansing, and we're going to be doing our best to keep an eye on what's happening so we can share with our citizens on the things that they're doing in Lansing, which will have an impact on us here in the city of Westland. So we'll continue to address regional issues that affect local government right here in the W. Thanks for watching.